Greetings from Canada. It's an honor to address the Human Rights Council. My congratulations to Ambassador Khan of Fiji on her election to the presidency of the Council. We trust she will bring to us the much-needed perspective of small island developing states, including the human rights impacts of climate change and environmental degradation. Nous nous réunissons.
We are meeting at a time when the world is facing the most serious public health crisis of our life. The COVID-19 pandemic has devastated lives as well as means of subsistence. It has exacerbated inequalities in our societies, and all too often it has imperiled the most basic human rights. The world is trying to protect public health, particularly by developing and distributing vaccines, but it is our responsibility to ensure that no vulnerable community is left by the wayside. Women, children, older persons, refugees, displaced persons, as well as LGBTQ2 and indigenous persons. The virus will only be eradicated when it is totally eradicated. Canada is committed to a robust global effort to guarantee that everyone, everywhere, has access to tests, treatment, as well as access to the COVID-19 vaccines.
The feminist foreign policy, Canada believes gender equality must also guide our efforts to revitalize the international institutions and build a better world that is more just, equitable, and inclusive. Sadly, the pandemic has just been used as a pretext by some governments to undermine the human rights they are entrusted to uphold. This is unacceptable. This Council has a responsibility to continue to closely monitor these situations and engage with people on the ground to have rights respected. Canada is deeply concerned about the deteriorating human rights situation in Sri Lanka, which includes threats to human rights defenders and civil society organizations, suppression of memorialization, forced cremations of religious minorities, and the deterioration of the rule of law. The recent report of the High Commissioner for Human Rights highlights the need for this Council to ensure accountability for crimes committed in Sri Lanka. Canada will continue to support measures that will support accountability, reconciliation, and peace. On Venezuela, the crimes against humanity detailed in the recent report of the UN fact-finding mission are extremely troubling. Canada encourages the Council to continue its efforts to unite the international community in targeted efforts to end the human suffering in Venezuela. In Iran, we are concerned with ongoing reports of human rights abuses. They include restricted freedoms of expression and assembly, discrimination against unrecognized religious and ethnic groups, and violence against women and girls. Meanwhile, in China, we are seeing an erosion of rights and freedoms in Hong Kong and a crackdown on ethnic and religious minorities. A mounting campaign of repression and deplorable treatment cannot be ignored. We call on China to halt the human rights violations affecting Uyghurs and other minorities in Xinjiang. Canada unequivocally condemns the recent coup in Myanmar and unjust detentions of elected officials, opposition figures, civil society leaders, and journalists. We are also deeply concerned by the military suppression of widespread public protests. Canada also backs international efforts to help the Rohingya, as well as other conflict-affected populations in Myanmar.
Media freedom and digital access, they are essential for the protection and promotion of human rights. Indeed, access to precise and timely information is more important now than ever. Journalists worldwide do essential work in reporting facts on the health crisis. Too many of them have been faced with censure, intimidation, or violence. Canada is also deeply concerned by the fact that we've seen shutdown of the internet used to clamp down on democratic expression. With the more than 40 members of the Coalition for Media Freedom, Canada would call on all states to guarantee free, independent, plural, and diverse media.
I want to reiterate our support to the many voices of Belarusians, including journalists. Those responsible for undermining democracy and for violating human rights must be held accountable. Human rights light the path through tumultuous times. From the Black Lives Matter movement to the campaigns for LGBTQ2 rights, we are inspired by human rights defenders and all those advocating for justice. We all have a duty to ensure human rights are protected at home, and we must stand by those who seek to uphold their rights abroad. We look forward to doing so alongside members of this Council. Thank you.